Let's talk about something that most business coaches won't tell you. How to run a business when your life is falling apart. I'm not talking about a bad hair day or a slow sales month. I am talking about real life challenges like illness, grief, caregiving, breakdowns that you just did not see coming. I've walked the path multiple times and I'm still standing, and so is my business. Today, I want to share with you some of the most painful moments in my life that I did not see coming and what I did to balance when I could barely breathe. So if you think that you are going through something right now that is going to put you in a place where you cannot continue to grow your dream and achieve the freedom that you want and desire, today's video is for you. Let me help. It helped me. And now I'm paying it forward. Let's get to work. First things first, you are not alone, and you are so much stronger than you think right now at this moment. It's okay. It's okay to take the time that you need to sleep or be in the bed or put your head under the covers. But I don't think enough business coaches out there really give people the steps or the strategies or the things that they can do in order to come out of that funk and continue to pursue their dreams. And I'm going to share with you the things that I've learned over the years, and also some of the most vulnerable, devastating things that have happened in my life while I was and still am an entrepreneur, and some of the things that I did to overcome them. So first, I want to start with something that I've talked to you guys about, and it's raising 6 children as a business owner. Yes, having kids and wanting to be all things for everybody is a thing. And as a woman, I really did take that responsibility very, very seriously. I wanted to pursue my dreams, but it also felt like it was a selfish goal if I wasn't also super mom and super wife. And so for a very long time, I tried to be all things to my own detriment and to my own health. So much so that I've had a lot of health challenges various times throughout my life and my career that I think, including burnout symptoms and all kinds of stuff that I think contributed to, some of the scares that I've had that were really, I would say, source and the divine universe's, God's way of telling me to sit down and take it easy. But this first one was really a lesson, because there were days that the guilt kicked in really heavy. There were days where I did not feel like I was good at either thing, running a business or being a mom. There were days where my kids would look at me and say, "You weren't there," and I had to deal with that. And there were days where I felt like I was cheating my business because I just wanted to stay with my kids or sleep in or, all of those things. And so that is one area that has been a challenge over the years that I have learned to master. And I'm going to share with you some steps that I've done to do that. The second big instance in my life that I think was, I didn't think I was going to continue in entrepreneurship after it, was my oldest son was diagnosed and needed open heart surgery at the age of 15. And it hit us completely out of the blue. And it was at a point in my career where my business was huge. I had 60 or so folks that was working for me. I was burning the candle at both ends. I had gotten into the groove of being the mom and the business owner, and had an amazing, amazing support system in my husband and my older children. And, I had multiple nannies at that point. I mean, it was just insane. And that diagnosis and what we went through for his treatment and the ultimate decision to have the surgery and then his recovery really, really, really put me in a dark place in my mind. And I almost didn't have the desire to continue my business. But I did put some things in place that helped me make it through. And just so you know, he's amazing and he's healthy right now and he's doing great. And he just turned 27, so he's fine. But at the time, I did not think that that type of a challenge was something that any person should ever deal with, and I didn't think that my business was going to make it. I would say the fourth big thing that happened in my life, and I've shared this story before, was when I was diagnosed with cancer during, I don't even remember which year it was, but it was after my son's situation. It was actually 2000, so it was about 8 years ago. So I was about 17 years in. And by that time, I had a lot of things in place. So it wasn't as hard as it was in the beginning, some of the other scenarios and situations that I just shared with you. But it really did make me go hard in some other areas, because it was the first time that I was like physically unable to pretend and physically unable to be there for almost a year. And I was in and out of my business for a year, but there were days when I was at work and just trying to do a regular 6 or 8 hour shift, and my body just would give out and it just wouldn't let me. So I was pretty much part-time as I was going through the entire process, post-surgery and then through radiation and treatments, which lasted from the diagnosis to treatments through the end of treatments, and then the remnants of the treatments was a little over a year. And so it really tested what I teach now around, building a strong business base in order for it to survive even you. It really tested and let me know that I had created the right legacy. So that was a huge life be life and type of situation that I had to make it through. And then losing my dad. I think I did a whole nother video here on YouTube around that situation and holding my family together through being his caregiver and the grief of that. I hit a dark place there as well, and it lasted shorter than the other times, but it was still there. And then I think the last is last year's situation that happened, and I've talked about it, but I was randomly diagnosed with a brain tumor and had to undergo a full-fledged craniotomy and brain surgery 60 days later. And that, at that point, I just felt like, okay, well, I got this, because I've made it through so many other things before. But that recovery that I'm still going through actually is a whole nother thing. So I tell you all of this and give you all of those examples to, number one, let you in, to let you know that even though I have had a lot of success in my career as a consultant, as a business coach, as an online course provider, I'm still a human being. I still go through crap, and it's real. And it is a struggle, both mentally and physically, to deal with life and some of the things that can be thrown your way and still stay steadfast to your dream. But I'm here. And not because I'm Superwoman, right? But because I learned to surrender, to simplify, to keep walking in purpose through the pain. And if you're experiencing some of those types of things that I just described to you on any level, you're not alone, and you will make it. You just have to make the decision to be in your 100% power and know who you are as, being made in God's image and being in his likeness. Know your own greatness and follow the following steps, because these are some of the things that I've learned over the years, that I've implemented over the years. These are some of my lessons that will help you hopefully overcome whatever it is that you're dealing with and stay steadfast in achieving your dreams. So I would say I could break this down into practical strategies and spiritual strategies, because I have learned through all of those scenarios that I just described to you that you have to have a balance of both. So the practical strategies that I employed is prioritizing what was essential only, right? I had to prioritize just the essentials. During a crisis, everything doesn't matter. That's the bottom line. I had to focus on what must be done, not being the, overachieving personality type that I have, believing that everything needed to be done, it really taught me in life to prioritize. So I had to identify the 1 or 2 revenue generating activities that needed to stay in place only, not begin to dive into all of these shiny balls and implement all of these new things. I had to delay what could wait and postpone any and all extras through all of those scenarios. That's one common thing that I learned to do and that I still do when I'm faced with any kind of life in crisis. And I also learned that I had to communicate with my clients very honestly and just be very vulnerable and tell them what was going on. They ultimately respected me more and they stood by me. And not only did they do that, but they showered me with love in the process. And it was so needed. So that was the first practical strategy. The second was I built a systems-based business, not a people-driven business. If everything depends on you, your business will crumble when you can't show up. And there will definitely be times in your business journey where you won't be able to show up. I just gave you 5 different scenarios in my own life where I wasn't able to show up. So that was really where creating automated workflows, creating SOPs, implementing things that could be there when you aren't there, training your team, having a cohesive culture, or just making sure that even if it's just you and you're a solopreneur, that you've got as much of different processes automated as possible and working as efficiently as possible. You do not want to build a business, even if it is based off of your intellectual property and expertise, that can only function if it's you there, because there will be times where it can't be you. And you're going to have to and need to be able to keep pushing forward. You know, as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, I didn't have to take FMLA. I didn't have to request PTO. I didn't have to do any of that, but I still had to generate revenue because I still needed income and I still had bills, and life's bills didn't stop for me either. And I didn't have, the comfort or security of like short-term disability or anything like that, especially in the very beginning scenarios that I described. So having systems built in my business and not putting those off was absolutely critical to my success and being able to make it through. And the third practical strategy that I would say was so critical was leaning into my support system and not falling into the trap of isolating myself. That is my tendency. I still work on it every single day. I don't know, call it a Scorpio thing, I don't know, but call it superwoman complex, I don't know. But I tend to retreat and isolate. And I think it comes from a base of feeling like sometimes you just don't want to bother people and put more stress on other people. And you also, I think, from a limiting belief perspective, don't want to seem weak, even though it's absolutely ridiculous to think that, because if you're going through some of the stuff that I just described to you, ain't nobody gonna think you weak. But I've learned through those scenarios that you don't have to be strong all the time, that you have to ask for help. And you have to give people the opportunity to help you in the way that they help you, because it doesn't make sense to ask for help and then be all crazy about how you get that help. So let your family and your friends and your community know what you need. Delegate what you can and say no without guilt, but try to avoid isolation as much as possible. I mean, taking some time and being still with yourself, I totally recommend, but just don't stay in that space, because my out of office was on and it was very clear. I am out dealing with a health situation and I'll be out for 4 months, and it was a thing, but it was very difficult for me to actually be that open with everybody. But through all of those scenarios, I have learned that I have to lean into my support or it just wouldn't work. So those are my 3 practical strategies. Let's talk about the spiritual ones that were really game changers for me, that I think if you incorporate them can really elevate your frequency and help you get unstuck. Number 1, I created a daily spiritual practice. It was a journey. Going through all of those things definitely puts you in touch with everything spiritual. And I think that a lot of them were created in order for me to move into a space where I had a better relationship with the divine and really found my footing. I mean, my entire spiritual journey is one that has lasted my entire life. You know, I grew up Catholic and, had all of the rules and the guilt that comes along with that and the traditions. And I went through a period when I was, transitioning out of what I would like to call sticky, religion into more close connection with God directly. And a lot of that was learning lots of things around religion itself and believing that I needed to have a personal relationship with God no matter what. And so at that point, I began developing my own spiritual practice. And I did it on and off. Sometimes I do it more than other times. But as these situations that I just talked to you about, as life began lifing even more, combined with being an entrepreneur, I had to come to the realization that it was a requirement for me to commit myself to daily spiritual practices. And so I began journaling. Every day I began writing down and just purging stressors and thoughts and, shifting my beliefs around those thoughts and identifying my own shadows and working through those. I began a gratitude journal at that point and just every single day writing down at least 5 to 10 things that I was grateful for because I found that it would elevate my energy and put me in a space where I was so blessed no matter what was going on. I began my meditation practice and when it was really, really bad, I'd meditate for twice a day for an hour each time, up to 2 hours. And don't get me wrong, meditation, if you've ever tried it and it's hard for you, it is something that practice begins to make perfect. And there's still some days even then where I didn't do it and I felt the difference. And even now I feel the difference if I don't get a chance to meditate. And so at some point throughout the day, I have to do it. But those spiritual practices have really changed the game for me, and incorporating them and making sure that I give myself the space and it is a non-negotiable for me to do every single day. Otherwise, it's impossible to really make it through some of those, situations that I described to you. And so I totally recommend that you figure out what's going to elevate your energy, what's going to put you at a higher frequency and put you in a space of peace and calm and happiness and feeling blessed. And whatever that is, there's no right or wrong way. Do it. It is going to help you when life is lifing and you're also trying to run a business. Second thing spiritually and strategy that I would encourage you to understand is in order for my business not to take a back seat to life, I had to begin to recognize that I needed to be doing a business that was helping me fulfill my purpose. That way, my business became an act of faith and service. I am a service-oriented person, and I will sacrifice myself, as I've been talking to you about, to help others. And I had to realize that my business was more than just creating revenue or a legacy for my children. And the motivation to do it every day had to go beyond money. It had to go beyond obligation. It had to go beyond, material and financial gains, and also include being an act of faith and being an act of service. And so showing up for your business becomes a faith in motion, becomes an act of service in motion. And through all of these scenarios, I had to make sure that I was doing a business that would fulfill that for me and for society in general and for the world and for the collective and for all of you. And so when I did that, I realized that even when I didn't feel like it, I would take the necessary steps to keep it going. And I also recognized that the seeds that I had planted and the business that I was building was serving a greater purpose than even myself could fathom. And my story, I realized, would and potentially could help heal someone else, which is why I even decided to do this video for you guys, because I do believe that my business is an act of service. I do believe that I am put here on this earth in order to help people experience transformations and grow businesses into lives of freedom so that they can experience, heaven here on earth for sure. And so Going through all of those things helped me understand how important it was for me to recognize the why in my business that goes beyond all the other stuff. And so if you are going through something right now, I would definitely tell you to take the time to figure that out, because it gives you a whole different sense of purpose to keep going, even through challenges and even through what seems catastrophic. And that is definitely a running theme. And so hopefully that strategy will really help you out, because it was a game changer for me. And it's literally what got me through, random brain tumor, brain surgery just a year ago. So I want to leave you with a final hug, and know that I get it. I know what you're going through. You can run a business and still honor your humanity. You can lead others without having all the answers. You can lose things and break down. You can cry in your car. You can question everything and still be called to do the work that you have set out to do. I want you to know, whether you're walking through something absolutely catastrophic right now, or whether you're walking through something that hurts just a little or a whole lot, it doesn't have to be the end. You will make it through. So give yourself some grace. Incorporate some of the strategies that I've shared with you today. Focus on what matters. Build something that can breathe without you. And don't forget, you're not doing this alone. Everybody has been where you are, and it's going to be okay. And you're going to look back and realize how strong you really are to keep going. Hopefully you like this video. It was hard for me to do, but I would appreciate a like or a comment or a share. It's a little bit of a different spin for me, but I thought that it was going to be crucial because of some of the stuff that's going on out there in the world right now. And until next time, my loves, I will see you really soon. Bye-bye. Mwah!